we've fingled the flang dangler.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome, wandering souls, for real this time, to the Black Rabbit Society, Call of Cthulhu actual play presented by Table Quests. Before we go any further, please note that this is a horror game, which means that we may be having horrible things happen either to us or by us. There are adults involved in what may be adult situations and using adult language. You've been warned. Feeling good. I feel like I had the full run already, and I'm like, okay. For our cast this evening, we have Ben playing Tommy Cole.
Greetings. Enjoy the show.
We've got Joel playing Professor Herbert Devenald.
Hello, it's a pleasure.
We've got Kendra playing the still mononymonic Olive.
How's it going?
Drew playing the not a professor, not a doctor, Horace Young.
Good evening.
And Kyle playing also a doctor, but only technically because of the academic kind.
Oh,
Raymond.
you gave away the game.
I mean, look, I saw the character art for Raymond Fox, and I was like, oh, this person is not quite as subdued as I thought they were.
Oh, goodness, no.
Do we have a shout out to give for the artist who did the wonderful character arts? I didn't get that sent to me in advance. I don't know if they want.
Yes, absolutely. Let me
I'll vamp while you look it up.
grab that information. Yeah.
Yeah. Our thanks before we go further is, first of all, Syrinscape is providing awesome music and sound effects, and it decided just to die on me because this is the night cursed by just a bunch of technical errors already, it sounds like. And there it is again. I got it back.
Yes.
We also have our own Joel playing Herbert Devenald, runs Call of Cthulhu, not Call of Cthulhu, oh my gosh. Dungeons & Dragons, Awesome Curse of Strahd, using Syrinscape with the sound effects and the music. It's awesome. He's got a bunch of really positive reviews for it. You can find that at StartPlaying.Games/GM/leonidas-games, or it's going to be in links in the doobly book. And then our artist, Fran.
Yeah. So his name is Peter Edgar, otherwise known as the Dungeon Sketcher. You can find him and support him. He does some amazing isometric artwork that can be used for your online tabletop games at patreon.com/thedungeonsketcher.
Fantastic. And thank you so much for showing up this evening, Wandering Souls. It's worth noting that we also have a Dungeons & Dragons game, which is on Wednesday nights. It's Doors and Deities, same bat place, same bat time, but different bat day. So that's Wednesdays at 7:30 p.m. You can check that out here. Yeah. I'm getting nods. A couple of blank stares.
Yeah, come check it out.
Awesome. And that's got our own Olive and Horace Young putting on different faces and wearing different skins entirely. So it's a great time. But we return to our fetissoir already in process. Last time, John Doe came out of his apparent coma and climbed up onto the roof where the investigators followed him, learned a little bit about who he actually was, learned his real name was Magellan. And despite the best efforts of Professor Devenald, Horace Young, and Raymond Fox, Magellan ended his own life by throwing himself off of the roof of the building. Looking into his death, things quickly became strange as some people could see the body, some people couldn't, some people were interacting with a body that may or may not have been there. So things are definitely starting to get strange and more than a little bit weird. Meanwhile, Olive and Tommy decided to create a scene in the main story, in the lobby of the hospital as it was. They both ended up not quite succeeding what their stated goal was, but that doesn't mean they weren't productive, as they both ended up being drugged and had to face a horrendous dreamscape. and within those experiences, they each died within their dreams. They then were interrogated by Detective McGowan, who was the one who put them in this unofficial quarantine and had an eye on them. The investigators then managed to get off of the island, finally being released from quarantine despite suspicious circumstances, leaving Albert Doe, the other apparent survivor of the Black Rabbit, still in the hospital, still unconscious. The investigators then went out to a restaurant with a pile of clues, some newspapers, a lot of paperwork to go over what they knew thus far and start comparing notes and determining what their next steps will be. We then ended things with one of them. I believe it was... Ooh, that is the one thing that I'm forgetting. Was it Horace Young or Raymond Fox that found it? Or was it Herbert?
Found what exactly?
What?
The ad.
It was Fox that found the note.
It was the ad at the
I
Oh,
believe
I believe
Horace
found the ad.
Horace
yes.
found
the ad, yes.
Found an advertisement in the newspaper saying if you knew about the Black Rabbit, to call a particular number. And we left things there, so I would assume that we can return. I figure we'll return the morning after everyone has gone to their respective homes and found things as they left them, possibly with some more dust and or piles of mail and other things they may have left behind. And we're gonna start with the morning of the 10th. We're gonna start with Professor Devenald. You are in a, and I always, my brain does not love to save the name of what it is. Was it a settlement house or was it?
Yes, it's a settlement house.
Settlement house. Thank you. I
Yes.
thought it that one or like a committee house keeps getting messed up in my mind. So the professor lives in a settlement house. So what does his usual morning there look like?
Oh, I don't know that this morning is going to be a normal morning, if I'm being honest.
Entirely fair.
I would wake and pour myself a cup of coffee, perhaps have some toast with raspberry jam if it happens to be in season. I don't have much of an appetite in the mornings, you see, and spend an hour or so sitting with my notes and the good book, reacquainting myself with the Lord for the morning and saying hello and asking his assistance for whatever might come up that day. This morning, I don't really have any appetite at all. The toast is made, but it's not had a bite taken out of it. The coffee is poured, it's grown cold. And I don't seem to be finding any easy answers in my Bible or any of the copious amounts of notes that I've taken over the years on the spiritual. I can't help but continue to think back on the last 24 hours, or 72, I suppose. That man threw himself from the roof. I saw it. I saw it. But I saw them carry him out on that gurney on the 3rd floor of the hospital. I saw that body lying on the ground 3 stories below. I touched it. And I'm sure it's not there, and it was never there.
Things are a bit quiet around the settlement house this morning. It's the sort of place that newcomers to the city are kind of helped with that transition, helped be part of the local community. But it seems to reflect kind of the pall that you're feeling today. And you notice by the time you're up and bustling about, most people are already off for the day, and Yeah, a kind of quiet sullenness seems to soak around the house. It feels almost like the third stair from the bottom, which is always creaked, seems to creak a little bit more, and the staircase seems to shift just a little bit extra. And eventually you pull yourself together to go meet up with the rest of the survivors for your investigation for the day.
Yes, of course. I can't leave them waiting any longer. Where was it we said we were going to meet?
You tell me.
Well,
There was discussions about a few different places to go, but it may be easiest to meet up somewhere, such as along one of the subway lines, to meet up and then make your way around the city. Because you had a few different stops that were discussed.
yes, that's right. That's right. We needed to make our way to the precinct and gather our belongings first, I think. I'll head in that direction.
Tommy, what's your sleeping arrangement like?
I think some kind of short-term I guess like a room somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Tommy's a bachelor, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Most likely it would be a boarding house for the era. So it'd be a couple of story house that'd be run by usually either a couple or a single man or woman who it's kind of like a cross between a bed and breakfast and an apartment.
Like a long-term B&B.
Yeah, from my knowledge of movies, it would be something like that.
That's what I was figuring. So you still have your room. Has the military desire for order and precision continued for Tommy's living circumstances? Is it a bit more déshabillé?
He's got a bit more hectic since he left.
Yeah.
It's very much like it's kind of like while he's not been in the room very long, it's already become like a place to lay out all his paperwork, maps, next journeys and places to go and people to talk to and things like that. So kind of like wake up in the morning is kind of just pushing things to the side and kind of climbing over some notes that will probably be important later and things like that.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, not one for corkboards. Tommy has I envision as the night before has taken a map of Manhattan or New York and has that up on the wall, nailed into the wall now.
Yeah, the ship can wait. Wherever I was dealing with that old lost ship, that can wait. This is Manhattan's the place I'm staying for a few weeks. I'm tacking that up.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. So grab, I'm guessing also similar thing, there'd be breakfast downstairs. It would be what has been made. And it's going to be coffee, toast, and eggs this morning. So nice and fortifying to get you moving for the day.
Yeah, Tommy's getting used to the coffee, to be honest. That's not bad.
Raymond.
Yes.
What are your living arrangements like?
I have a suite rented in a hotel in the city. I've only been here a couple of weeks now, so I don't have permanent living arrangements. But I'll upon arriving back at my suite the night before, I kind of paced around and thought about the things that had happened and called some people to maybe talk to them, but I hung up before it could connect through. I changed my mind. I'm not ready to talk to outside people about this just yet. And eventually in the wee hours of the morning, fell into a fitful sleep. Waking early-ish. It's mid-morning, probably 8 or 9. And rises, dresses, and heads downstairs to take in some breakfast.
Excellent. Horace.
Yes.
Your home and living arrangements. What's your morning after look like?
So Horace wakes up in the small apartment, or sort of two-room arrangement, above the shop that is, or the old shop storefront that has had its insides basically gutted out, that will eventually become his office and headquarters of practice. Slept reasonably well, got up right at dawn, as he tends to do. Immediately writes down what he remembers of his dreams in the journal that he keeps next to his bed. Would he have any particularly notable dreams, do you think?
Roll me a luck.
Luck. All right. Hard success.
So, yeah. Horace has long been fascinated with dreams and is more the kind of person who's going to pay attention to them, right? And it's one of those things of the more you pay attention to your dreams, the more you remember them, and the more they just stick around after that first wake up in the morning. What are Horace's dreams usually
like? His dreams would probably... What do you mean specifically?
I mean, I guess what are, if you were to flip back through the last couple of pages of him recording his dreams, what kind of what is Horace usually dreaming about?
He tends to, more recently, as he's somewhat new to the city still, a lot of his recent dreams have been him wandering around unfamiliar city streets, and having elements sort of present to him from the city landscape that he is slowly growing familiar with.
So, the previous night's dream was very similar to that. It was reminiscent of that wandering through a city. Only when you looked up at the sky in the dream, there was no stars. It was just utter blackness. And there was not the sense of anything familiar. The entire city, none of it made sense. None of it matched. There's no landmarks that came out. There was no, of course, the coffee place. None of that was. And you kind of have the fading sense in the first kind of that moment of the last memories kind of slipping away, this sense of, even for a dream, something was off. I mean, dreams always have that kind of sense of the unreal. The geography doesn't make sense in dreams. You can just get from point A to point B. There's something that does Horace drink tea, coffee?
Yes, he would have a coffee.
As over that cup of coffee and writing your notes, there's this vague sense of disquiet. Something was still off. There was a sky without a moon or stars, but it was pitch black. And you knew you were on Manhattan. You knew you were on an island. But you have this feeling that instead of being, the Hudson and the bay, that it was just in the middle of an ocean. And that it was utterly, the word untethered springs to your mind. And you don't, just interrogating it a bit, it's one of those things, if it jumps to your mind, you try to interrogate it, and you don't fully know what brought that to you. But that's the word that springs to mind. Olive. What's Olive's morning like?
Well, Olive lives with her father in kind of not the nicest part of town. So Olive rolls out of bed and has her morning breakfast, which is composed of a cigarette and some juice. You know what I'm talking about. Eh. And then, maybe she reads the morning paper, like hoping to see something about a fire. Maybe something has just taken a really long time to get published. So, anything to do with fires. That's what I'm hoping for. And if there's not, well, drats. And she's going to grab over some, bread and grab some leftover bread that she doesn't finish to feed to the pigeons in the local park on the way to our meeting point.
Yeah, something to the paper. The only thing you find that has any mention of fire is apparently there's some big 4th of July party being planned on the Upper East Side. It's being put together by a bunch of different, various wealthy people. Are putting there some big party, some big celebration for the year, and there's talk about having a bunch of big bonfires for it. Yeah, that's the only mention of fires you're really seeing. There is a little small throwaway op-ed piece about it's the anniversary of some factory fire as well over in Brooklyn, but that was a decade ago. And then it goes on about the importance of various regulations and safety that are coming into New York and basically pushing for more limitation on big business and all that. But looking for stuff on fires, that's all that you're really seeing. So the group of you meet up nearby the police precinct and prepare to head over.
May I just one last thing Horace would have wanted to do before leaving?
My apologies.
No, you're fine. He would like to have grabbed his notes on Douglas Scott,
Yes.
and at some point would like to flip through them, looking for any mention, specifically the early notes mentioning any kin or any people that he listed as that he would know, family, anything like that, to sort of cross-reference with the man that Douglas seemed to be involved with on the phone.
Yeah, roll me a library use.
No.
It doesn't seem like it lines up with anyone he was talking to on that last call you had. He doesn't have a lot of family in the city. There's something tragic about his story of the kind of person who's become, and again, that word springs up, he's untethered. If he came to the city and there's nothing really linking him to anyone, nothing really linking him to any people or things, and that just kind of becomes part of that alienation that happens in the big city, and you kind of get caught musing on that for a bit rather than getting to the bottom of it. And before you know it, you're meeting up with them because you're reading on the subway.
Mm-hmm.
So is there any you're preparing to head into the precinct. If you have any last minute discussions or anything you wanted to handle for that.
How did everyone sleep last night? Did anyone sleep last night?
I think I put a couple of hours away, maybe.
I must say I slept rather well.
Yeah, all things considered, I slept pretty good.
I did a bit of light reading. You can see Tommy's just bags under his eyes, just shaking a little bit from coffee.
Did anyone else have any dreams they feel worth sharing?
I don't know that I slept enough minutes in a row to dream, if I'm being honest, and as Mr. Cole said, I spent much of the night in my books.
Worth a try.
Did everybody bring your CoC check slips from the good detective?
Yes, quite right. I would like to receive my firearm back in its correct ownership as soon as possible.
Heading to the precinct is no difficulty. You deal with someone at the front desk who goes, "Yeah."
Yes, hello there. We're here to exchange some IOUs we received for our belongings, our belongings.
Okay, of course. Just looking over these. Everything seems to be in order. The case looks like it's no charges being laid. So if you'll just wait here a moment, I can get that handled for you.
Certainly. Yes, thank you.
Yes, I can do that. He goes. Things are pretty uneventful. It is the morning at a precinct. You hear the sound of some of the people from the overnight sin bin being processed through or roused from various levels of sleep or lack thereof. And after a few moments, he comes back and goes, yes, I believe this is it. He returns Herbert's firearm. He returns a an envelope with a set of keys for Horace Young. What else was missing from people?
My knife.
Oh yes. Tommy, you're given a small box. If you open it, it is full of straw. Inside is your knife, and it is just slick with blood.
Slick with what?
Blood.
Oh, gee. I'll just slam it shut without really trying to show anyone.
The envelope and keys, do I recognize that? Would I expect to get that back?
No, you don't recognize these keys at all.
Okay. Is there anything on the envelope?
The envelope was from the police station. It was just storing the keys.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yep, it is literally 2 keys and a key ring.
If I examine them, how do they look? Are they new? Do they look ancient, weathered?
One is very new. It still has very sharp teeth on it, which suggests it's been cut quite recently. The other one is somewhere between a year and 20 years old. You know, not like ancient, well used.
Mm-hmm. Do any of you recognize this? It was apparently taken from me, but I don't have any recollection of it.
They appear to be keys.
That is an astute observation, Dr. Fox.
But no, I haven't lost my keys.
They look familiar.
Could they belong to... was it Magellan? Or the other Mr. Doe?
It's possible, although it wouldn't explain why I had them.
In unless you met them that night, perhaps. Has anyone remembered anything more from that night?
Are we having this conversation at the police station?
I was just about
That's a
to
very
ask.
good question, Tommy.
Maybe we should take this conversation outside. I think we've explained everything we need to law enforcement.
And more.
Thank you for your time.
And we'll walk out and just start walking down the street. Is the precinct anywhere near the Black Rabbit, or is it a completely different part of town?
You were picked up near Central Park, so the precinct is closer to there. The Black Rabbit is way down on Bleecker, which is in Greenwich Village. So it is quite a walk, or a decently quick subway ride.
Well, shall we talk a little bit about that and walk over to Central Park and see if there's any evidence of our presence there 4 nights ago?
It's been a few days, but it might help jog the memories.
Yes. If there was a big fire or something, I would expect to see, well, burns.
True enough, and I'm in favor of stretching my legs as well.
Yeah.
So it's a hot. Yep. Of course.
I was
so
just
it's
gonna
a
say,
hot-
yeah, that's fine.
It's turning out to be a hot summer day. It's just starting to heat up. Central Park is one of the few places where you can get greenery and shade in the city. So already there's people starting to bustle around. There's no sign of any fires. You're kind of walking around. There's no immediate signs of anything. But, as you're walking, you're having that conversation between yourselves.
I haven't remembered anything further, Professor. It's all just an abyss.
Has anyone had any further recollection of that night?
Well, not yet, but I did want to point out that those keys may well belong to one of those other people or somebody else entirely. It didn't sound like we were being particularly friendly with those people when we were picked up. We may have been dragging them to help them. We may have been dragging them for another reason. I'm not
What possible
ruling out.
other reason could we have for carrying a man with horrible burns through
Professor,
Central Park if we weren't trying to help him?
What we imagined was helping them may not have actually helped them. We may have been doing what we thought was the right thing, but actually caused some kind of harm.
It's a fair point. I don't believe that's what Mr. Cole is suggesting, however.
I think that's a better suggestion, so maybe let's say I said that.
Can I,
Right.
Horace, may I see the keys for a moment?
Very well,
Yeah.
of course.
And if I, hold them up together, are they clearly to different things or the same thing?
They are not the same key. They are to 2 different locks.
But the
Now,
same lock company?
What a good question. The older one lacks any sort of determining marks on it, which, isn't much of anything. The other one is a newer master lock. It's a lock company. It looks like it is new. It's newer. It looks like it would be. It's the right size for like a door. It's definitely not like a padlock or a safe or anything, because those would be smaller keys.
Depending on its identity, these may be keys to the Black Rabbit. Have we considered that?
I'd love it to be the case.
Yes. Let's resolve to try them on, locks that we run into. Who knows? If we retrace our steps. Oh no, I don't want to walk all the way from here to the Black Rabbit.
Before we depart, I'm trying to recall. Young Miss Olive, did you say a friend of yours saw some information about our Dr. Fox having an art exhibit or some sort of autistic effort that was being undergone here at the park? Isn't that correct?
Yeah. Catherine, my flapper friend was saying, she saw Dr. Fox put on a great performance. It was more of like autistic expression kind of stuff, I didn't know he was so autistic. Wow, he made it into the paper, so it must have been good.
Or quite bad.
Thank you.
That's true. We didn't see the reviews. I didn't get to that section, but it was like people acting in a park. So.
Well, Dr. Fox, if this occurred only 2 days prior, perhaps there's some information about it hereabouts, or those who've seen it may be here. Is it worth spending a bit of time investigating the area and questioning people? I don't know. I'm not a detective by any means, but
Yes, let's see if let's see if there's somebody who feeds the pigeons every day, and perhaps they caught us as we were setting up or something. Looking around, are there people that are very clearly not your weekend type stroll in the park people? They're more like I go here every day at this time for something.
Yeah, roll me a spot in.
To help him because my favorite hobby is to feed pigeons in the park. So maybe I know old lady Gladys or something.
You can do that and give him a bonus die for sure.
Okay, there you go.
71. That's gonna be a pass.
Yeah. All right.
So yeah, the two of you walk around for a bit, and all of you see Ms. Goldman. She insists on Ms. because she is a widow. She lives up on the Upper East, and she's been left fairly well off by her deceased husband. And yeah, you've had morning talks with her in the past, kind of feeding the birds and being around in the park.
Hey, Miss Goldman.
Olive, darling.
Uh,
And she grabs your cheeks and does the mwah, mwah. Oh, you look like you haven't eaten much.
oh, yeah, it's a new trend everyone's doing. Hey, friends, these are my new friends we met, at one of my gigs. They wanted to ask you some questions about, specifically this park.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Why? But a bunch of nice young men and very distinguished there, mister.
Thank you. Miss Goldman, was it? It's nice to meet you. I'm always interested in Olive's friends.
What?
I was hoping to ask you about now this is a little bit embarrassing. I put on apparently some kind of art show or performance a few days ago, and I'm just really trying to get people's take on it. Did you happen to see it?
What? Where? In the park?
Yes, in the park.
You had an art thing in the park, and she's gonna lean over to Olive and be like, "Is this one of them bohemians? They say a bunch of them are anarchists."
Listen, there was an art exhibit with a bunch of actors, how they do those.
Dressed really nice for an anarchist.
I mean, they got style nowadays. That's what they say about the anarchists. are a very stylish bunch. But did you see any performance, anarchist or not, at this park?
So it's like a performance in the park here?
Yes.
Well, I mean, there was a big fight the other day. I heard there was. I mean, oh, would this be the the thing on the 7th?
Yes, probably that. That's when it was.
Well, it was the middle of the night. I would have been asleep, but my niece's in-laws brother said that he saw it and that he could have sworn that they were fighting like they was back on the front line in Central Park again. Like he said you would have thought it was trench warfare.
Yeah. In this park.
Well, I mean, they weren't digging or nothing apparently, but they were firing guns. They said there was a lot of shouting, a lot of people like firing up into the air.
My apologies for interrupting you, young lady, but
why? Oh, you charmer.
Mr. Herbert Devenold, at your service, ma'am. If I can ask, where exactly is it that this event occurred? Could you take us to the spot?
I mean, I just read it in the paper. I heard it was... My knee's not so good as it would be. They said it was up by the reservoir.
No, I understand when the joints are acting up. I'm sorry. Can I pray for the good Lord to heal you?
I mean, you. You could. I would assume that a good brisket and some more wine, if we could get that in, would be really good.
Well, as you will then.
No, religious wine.
Of course. The body and the blood, I assumed you must be referring to.
Sure.
Yes, of course.
Sure, yeah.
But you said up by the reservoir.
Yeah, that's what I didn't see it firsthand. I don't want you to think that stuff was going another way. That's what I read.
Of course.
Whilst we're having this conversation, could I look around? You said it's kind of busy today.
Mm-hmm.
Could I be kind of keeping an eye out if anyone recognizes us or seems to be paying us any attention?
Yeah.
I don't have my character sheet up. Apologies. That'd be a spot hidden.
Yes.
I wish I'd paid more attention to that. Ooh.
I think he's talking about.
25 for a success.
Yeah. You're not making much of a scene amongst people at that park or anything like that. Yeah, doesn't seem that anyone's paying you any particular mind. You notice that one of the officers walking his beat kind of gives you like a double look. But it's is that just there's a group of you who look a bit incongruous? Is that he recognizes you? Yeah, you don't.
Okay.
And not like giving you the stink eye, just kind of doing the look and just being like, okay.
Yeah. I'm familiar with the look. I think I'll probably softly keep an eye on him just so I'm aware where the policeman is in the situation. That seems smart, but I won't be like, I've tried to be subtle about it.
Yeah, I mean he's gonna continue his beat, so within a minute or two he's gone down the path.
Cool. All right then. But should we go have a look up by the lake?
Yes, that sounds like a good idea.
Yes, I believe so.
And as we walk up towards the reservoir, Raymond's going to be scanning the ground because she mentioned something about guns being fired. He's going to be looking for shell casings or, heavy footprints. Or it's a couple of days later, so his odds aren't great, but if there's something, he wants to find it.
Yeah, so I mean, you're walking about 2/3 of the length of the park to get up to the reservoir. A couple of quick questions of housekeeping. Tommy, is your knife just in like the box that you're carrying under your arm?
I would generally keep it concealed, like just in a sheath, concealed somewhere. But I don't particularly want to. I want to clean this knife, so right now I'm still carrying the box.
Yeah. Okay.
The box isn't bloody, right? It's the knife
No,
inside
no.
it. Yeah. So the box is fairly. I guess it's very obviously a knife box, isn't it? But
No, it's a pretty basic pine box. It would have been an evidence box. They just kind of shoved it in.
all right, okay. I'll probably just be carrying that box then, if that's okay. But
Yeah, of course.
that's a threatening bit of housekeeping. No worries.
Who's to say? And Herbert, did you bother checking your firearm at all?
Ooh.
Yes, I wouldn't have felt comfortable doing it right there in the middle of the
Of
precinct.
course.
But as we are walking through the park, I will be looking for an opportunity when there aren't very many people around to pull it out of my side holster and confirm how many rounds have been fired and how many bullets remain, and generally checking that it is in good condition.
Is Herbert the kind of person who leaves a resting, like an open resting round? It's a practice some people did in the era. I don't know if it is still not. I don't know modern gun culture at all. I only know old-timey gun culture. Some people, especially for revolvers, would leave an empty slot. And there's no round, there's no bullet, just to make sure they don't accidentally fire. Or would he leave them all full?
He would have left them all full. He knows enough about gun safety to not need that.
Cool. Yes, then there are 5 empty casings and 1 round still left.
All 5, apart from the 1.
Yep.
That doesn't at all align with what Magellan suggested. I would have grabbed 10 or so rounds before leaving in the morning, with the realization that more than likely I would need to put some of them back in the gun. So as we have time, I will be pulling out empty casings and refilling each chamber, being sure to make certain I'm not making anyone uncomfortable in the park, etc.
Yeah, of course. Excellent. So yeah, it's it's a beautiful day. There's it'd be pretty hot if you weren't underneath the trees, which are even the 1920s already old and providing a lot of shade. And you make your way up to the reservoir. It is this. By the 1920s, I don't believe it's the major source of New York's water anymore, but it's a great big reservoir of water in the center of the city. And you are near the south end of it, and nothing is immediately jumping out at you. There's not any signs of extra trampled grass or anything. There's not any signs of broken trees, but also there's a lot of people sunbathing or having picnics and the like. So, any evidence of that might be long gone. However, we did have Raymond was specifically, eyes on the ground, so he can roll me a spot hidden for sure.
Success.
you're looking around in the area, and Raymond kind of quickly comes to the conclusion that cops have already been over this area. A lot of people and like human traffic has been over this area. Just looking around isn't gonna get you anything. It's kind of a fool's errand at this point. If there were any fired shots, like a kid could have found the thing and taken it home. Who's to say what's happened?
Well, folks, I seem to think with the number of people here and all these blankets laid about, I don't think we're going to actually discover any direct evidence, especially not since the police have already gone over this area when they, found us. But I wonder if it isn't worth just asking some random person if they heard anything about the commotion on the night of the 7th. What do we say?
I think that couldn't hurt, Doctor.
Well then, yeah, Raymond will kind of scan the crowd and land on somebody he thinks is likely, somebody who seems like their setup is really well honed. Like their picnic is professional. They're a regular picnicker, so they come out here a lot.
I'm gonna get rolling a luck. You need an extreme success to get anything off that.
All right.
You went too niche.
I'm not
too specific.
That's fine. I'm not particularly lucky anyway. No.
Ooh.
No.
Also, wrong kind of people.
Huh? They're here during the day, of course.
But Olive can also give me spot hidden.
I look for like the sketchiest guy.
Oh, it's not. It is at all. Oh, Olive.
Oh no.
Sanity test?
What?
Oh no.
It's
the
Cool.
atrocities we did.
So, you're all kind of looking around. Raymond is kind of casing the joint out. Herbert is probably, shifting his knees a little bit. Horace and Tommy are also kind of looking around, occasionally kind of poking at the ground. Olive, you turn for a moment and you look up and you see in the trees there are pigeons. In the city, there's always pigeons. And there's crows. And there's seagulls. And they're all looking at you. Like dozens upon dozens of birds. They're just kind of staring at the group of you. They're not acting like they're not also pecking for food. They're just sitting there and they're watching.
Elbow Horace and be like, hey, you're good at dreams and all that jazz. Are you good at with birds? Because I'm pretty good with birds, but those birds have been staring at us. And I know birds because I feed them. Usually, they flutter about and peck at things, but those birds have been eyeing us a little bit too much. And I know you are so shocked that you are silent, but
You're on mute.
just process it.
I don't remember muting myself. When I look, do I see the birds?
Oh, yeah.
This is a fair question to ask. Do I see the birds?
Look, at this point,
That's 100% fair.
after last week, we absolutely have to ask if I see the birds. And they are staring at us?
Oh, yes.
Oh, dear. Horace was just gonna clear his throat for everybody.
What is it, Mr. Young?
What?
We're being watched.
What do you...
Oh.
By God. What are they doing?
They
Is any-
are watching us quite
Shoo!
intensely.
Shoo! Shoo!
Wait, whoa.
Get away!
Is anybody eating like who looks like I could like intimidate them to steal a piece of bread from them? Like I'm looking for a weakling to swipe their food.
Did the shooing provoke any response?
Well, I was about to ask Herbert, like, are you, like, because they're, like, a good couple dozen feet away is where the tree line is. Are you kind of heading towards them and doing that?
Yes.
Yeah. There's a moment, and then they all take off, and you hear people kind of gasping and, like, noting, like, that's a lot of birds to suddenly take off all at once. And yeah, there's suddenly that just fluttering of birds, and there's feathers in the air, and it's, kind of a momentary oddity that people are noting on. There's some laughter, there's some other kind of enjoyment of this oddity.
Is it every bird in the vicinity that we can see?
Yes.
Or is there okay, so there's not like others in little pie. There aren't individual stray birds. It's just every bird we can see goes.
Yes.
Okay.
Every bird you can see was involved in this, and every bird you can see goes.
Well, they're not watching us anymore.
At least
could have
not while we
asked
can see
them.
them.
Could have asked them some questions or something before we shoot them away, but all right.
I apologize. They clearly weren't acting in a way that is in a natural connection with the order that the Lord has put on this planet, but I can't imagine that we could speak to them, Miss Olive.
Hey, after this time in the, in the hospital and forgetting all this stuff, who knows? Maybe birds learned how to talk. Maybe me, Olive, can talk to birds. We will never know now.
Person I saw speak to a bird threw himself off the roof of a hospital.
Well,
That's a fair
good thing
point.
I'm on ground. I'm gonna throw myself off here.
Nonetheless, we will have to test your theory at some point. But you were right, Professor. This is the second time now that we have seen strangely acting birds.
Yes,
This is no coincidence.
Can I put forward the idea that these birds remember us? If we were causing a scene, making noise, shooting things, then it's fair to say that the creatures that live here might not be great with us coming back.
You're suggesting some evil spirits live here in the park and have controlled those birds in some way as to make them spy on us.
Or that crows and ravens are smart enough to recognize people. The seagulls and pigeons I don't quite grant their intelligence.
Pigeons are very intelligent. I have a pigeon that remembers me, comes to me every day. His name is Little Frankie. He's little, so he can't be just Frankie. And, he eats my bread every morning, so...
Is there also a large Frankie, is there?
Yes.
Probably, yeah.
Right, of course.
I suppose the suggestion is rather that the birds are not the oddity, we were the oddity, and that the birds simply remember us.
Well, let's resolve to keep an eye out for birds behaving strangely from now on.
I think that's wise, yes.
It is a pattern of behavior, yes.
I suppose
Well, this has been
Go ahead, Mr.
fairly fruitless. But are we just putting off the inevitable that we need to go and see the Black Rabbit?
Yes, we've been stalling.
Perhaps there was that phone number in the paper asking after anyone who had seen the Black Rabbit or heard of the Black Rabbit. Perhaps we should call that number first. See if they know anything.
My friend's niece as well was there that night, and we could go and check on her and see if she's well.
Yes,
if she has any recollection of the night.
Gather a bit of information before we head down there blindly.
Why don't we
Yeah, I would...
walk down to the subway station, call the number and talk to them, explain, see what they have to say, and then we could take the subway over to the area where the Black Rabbit is, was, or will be, and then check in on Professor Herbert's neighbor's niece.
Have you guys thought about maybe this number is a trap? Because what if there is no black rabbit? And then, they want to trap us. That's as far as I got in that theory. But what if it's a trap?
Well, that's going to fester.
Also, first things first, I really just need to see this building that I was apparently at for a day before I blacked out.
That's assuming there is a building.
I also really
At this
need
point
that
is
to be
not
a
a given.
building.
I
That's
want to
just a
know
me.
one way or the other if there's a building at this point, honestly.
Me too.
You're thinking that perhaps if... I think we all know something deeply nefarious happened that evening, and to young Olive's point, if we're not meant to remember it, and we continue to go sticking our nose in where something doesn't want it, and perhaps that phone number is a way of weeding out people like us. People who remember that they don't remember.
I've been poking my nose into things it shouldn't be for a living for a few years now, and I think it's time to get our schnoz in there.
All right, here's the deal. Let's go look at the Black Rabbit, and if it's there, we poke around, we ask some questions, we satisfy ourselves. If it's not there, maybe we call the number.
I'm in agreement with that.
If it's not there, maybe we discuss it at that time. Can we just agree that we don't really know what we should do if the building we all remember going to doesn't exist?
Do any of us remember going to a building? I was not certain of that.
I remember getting dressed and leaving for the night.
We remember an address and a promise.
I was meant to meet you, Mr. Young.
Indeed.
I don't recall us ever actually connecting that night.
Yes, precisely.
Sorry,
None of
this
us specifically remembers a building. Let us be
I
clear on that.
remember eating, I don't even remember going and I only remember eating dinner or lunch with my pa. Huh.
So let us all temper our expectations. Perhaps the Black Rabbit was not a set, permanent residence of any sort.
What were you trying to say, Mr. Cole?
This actually might be Ben speaking, but didn't Olive work at the Black Rabbit?
Oh, I did.
Remembering that.
Yeah, no, okay, now, sorry, the crows really freaked me out. I do remember the building and, bartending there for a little bit before all this happened, so, yeah.
So you do remember what it looks like, the facade,
Yeah.
Like
the tables, there must have been a stage. There was a show apparently that night.
Yeah.
You
There was
remember
a-
all of those things.
Yeah.
Do you remember being there that night?
Not at all.
Well, that makes me feel a little bit more comfortable about trying to prove that there is a building, if at least she remembers what it looks like.
Indeed, indeed. Shall we be heading off then?
Let's be about it.
So you're going to catch a subway down to Greenwich Village and Bleecker Street. So yeah, as you go, Olive kind of describes the building she remembers, which was a brownstone. Newer construction for a brownstone, where the main floor and basement had been converted over to a cabaret, which then, of course, was violating the Volstead Act as well, but had as its cover being more of a cafe and a place for performances. you all get off the subway on Bleecker Street. Around, you look outside the number, you see you're about 60 Bleecker, and you walk up Bleecker, past Broadway. It's an area with a lot of brownstones, a lot of small stores, grocers, some small bookstores here and there. You keep walking up, you get to, on your right, at the corner of Bleecker and Mercer is 81 Bleecker Street. And then there is a square, which is part of NYU, which appears to be under construction. It's a pretty large area. It's Bleecker, from sort of Mercer all the way over to LaGuardia, which wouldn't be LaGuardia in the era, but I couldn't confirm what the name of the street was at that time. And then after that section is 143.
Well, it should be here then, shouldn't it?
They're building there?
No, there is a construction site adjacent to a green space, kind of a park. It's a couple of trees and stuff, a small playground, and the only number is, it appears to be construction of a new building for the university, and it is numbered 95 Bleecker Street. So it goes 95, LaGuardia, 143.
Olive,
Yes?
where have I been coming to talk to you for the last couple of weeks?
Perhaps we must have missed it. Is it, did we miss a turn?
Olive,
Is there like
where's the bar that we've been to multiple times?
is there a bench near us? I'm gonna just go and sit on the bench. So, we're in the right spot. I remember this location vividly because of reasons, and now there is nothing except for all of that.
Wait, but you remember the construction site as well. That was there before. There just should be more stuff between there. The geography matches, like the buildings all match. It's the right aesthetic.
Olive, where's the building? There's a field here. It's...
You know what? This is just I'm gonna walk walk to where the building should be and kind of like put out my hands as if I'm trying to feel an invisible building.
So yeah, so you cross LaGuardia, which again wouldn't be LaGuardia, but I couldn't figure it out. And there's it's another brownstone there. This one's just residential, and then adjacent to it is another brownstone with a cafe in the basement called the Peculiar. And it's just, there's just, to all of it, it seems like you're just like part of the city is missing. Because you remember the Peculiar, you've drank there, you remember the construction site for the university, it's expanding, and there's just supposed to be more between those instead of just a street.
So seems to me that almost part of the city is missing.
No, this won't do. You said that you'd been here. You remember it in detail.
Uh-huh.
You must
Yeah,
have gotten confused. This must not be. Let me see that address.
Yeah. The address.
Where's the paper that has the address on it?
Oh, I think I have that. Yes, the invitation.
Yes, let me see it.
Yes.
Here, you see, it says, the Black Rabbit Cabaret, once in a lifetime event, 105 Bleecker Street. See, this is 105 Bleecker Street. It would be there.
It was there. Not would. It was there. There was a building there that me and Tommy met, and some of you there, and I went there, and I was bartending there, and it was real, and because I am real.
Perhaps it's a north or a south Bleecker Street. The 5, maybe it's meant to be an S. Maybe it's 10 South Bleecker Street. We need a map. We need a map of the city. I'm sure it's on another street somewhere. We've gotten ourselves turned around and confused.
I know this doesn't make sense, and I want to be freaking out like you, but this is the right spot.
Quick question. Looking at the buildings and the addresses, is there a pattern that it looks like it skips over? Like, does it go 75, 85, 95, 115? Or something like that? Or is it just different addresses, or is the pattern...
It goes. Yeah. It goes from your subway station. It goes, starts at 61. You then are going up by 1s and 2s. Because occasionally it'll be evidence that there was a building that then would have been knocked down or merged into another one. So there's a little bit of it's a little bit of a stutter count. Because it'll be 61, 63, 65, 69, 71, 75. But nowhere is it jumping that much. This great big block is university, and it only has the number 95. So there's a decent jump there that even if you were to fill this in with brownstones, you're still missing 10, 20 houses, or 10, 20 numbers.
After handing off the note to the professor, Raymond is going to kind of pace up and down the block with an idle ear to them discussing it, and just look up and down the block to see if he can find his car. Because he can't remember where exactly he parked, but he thinks it was near the Black Rabbit.
Yeah. I'm going to have you roll me an intelligence to try to think how you used to think.
Yeah, how was I in the moment there?
Yeah.
Intelligence is that... Yes. No, I am not thinking clearly. I can't get myself back in that headspace.
Yeah, you end up kind of wandering up towards NYU a bit. There's a great big park about 2 or 3 blocks north, Washington Square Park, which the university is around. And you're you've been here before. All this looks fine. All this looks recognizable. And yet you start to get that same feeling Olive does of there's just parts of the city missing. And it's more than what you were worried about. It's more than just a single missing address or single missing building. There's a block or 2 that should be here.
I'll meander back to the group and at a lull in the conversation, I'll pipe up and say, we've got at least some kind of missing building, but also, more personally important, I'm sure you don't care, my car is also missing. And I know I parked near the Black Rabbit. So, it might be more than just the building.
Or again, is it parked at 10 South Bleecker Street?
I don't believe I parked at 10 South, no. No, that's a bit further than I would want to walk.
And out of character clarification, these missing buildings, are these just like long, vacant, overgrown lots that never had development on them?
Like the block the university is developing?
Yeah.
It was a green space prior to that. You can see there's still... It would be... Like, it's technically a park, but it's really more of like a lawn with some trees level of park.
Sure. And to clarify, I guess what I'm asking is it a matter of it doesn't look like anything has ever been built here, nor have there been any preparations to build something, or is it like in the process of things being cleared to be built?
Yeah, so closer to the second one, this area would have been green space before. The entire Greenwich Village area has been seen a lot of construction over the last 30, 40 years. In like the 1880s, there were still like farm fields in the area sometimes.
Okay.
This is owned by the university, and it is both. This would have been green, and it's the first development here. But even if this was brownstones instead of a great big university building, like there's still too many addresses to fit between there if the numbers were being consistent.
So not only are there no buildings ever been built on that space, it's also not enough space. There's like not as much there as we expect there to be based on the numbering.
Yeah, so if they were to build brownstones or houses, and they just had reserved those numbers,
right,
you'd still end up with like, all right, well, we got 95 to like 115, and that's still a jump to 143.
Okay, so the plot sizes are too small. The plot sizes don't seem to have ever been developed.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna go into the field, walk around the area, and just kind of kick grass.
Yeah. There's some students around. They are, there's a couple who are fiddling with cameras.
I'm intrigued.
One's reading a book in the shade.
Yeah, I'll go strike up a conversation with the students that are fiddling with a camera.
Yeah, they're apparently in the physics department, and they're just kind of like they're fiddling with a camera, trying to like learn how a camera works. Because they're talking about you kind of catch a bit from them. They're talking about some sort of experiment with like using cameras to determine the rates of different things falling, and then how like they're interacting, and using that to get a better understanding of applying different physical theories to like what they're talking about. So like, how are things actually ricocheting off each other, and kind of they're about using that to verify models versus reality. So in like experimental physics, and learning how to use cameras in order to basically do that more precise than just watching it.
Yeah. Well, I'll examine their camera setup and make sure that they've got everything set up the way it should be, and maybe offer them a couple of tips and tricks for optimizing their photography.
Yeah, they're quite thankful. And yeah, you have a nice kind of quick conversation with them. They're what is your photography skill? You don't need to roll. Just what is it at?
It is photography is at a 50.
50. They're definitely not as good as you, but you're like, oh, like they're just learning. They're just trying to get it figured out. Like this is running a camera is not second nature to people in the era. So you're like, like they're just getting it figured out. So you have a nice little time, kind of just talking about camera stuff and the mundanity of it all. You're actually going to recover a sanity for that. Just 1 point. Just from like this kind of moment of respite of just it's normalcy. It's just like I'm just in a field talking about cameras.
Yeah. And I do want to like kind of glean a little bit about, have they been experimenting in this field for very long, or is this a new place for them? Like,
it's just part of the university. This is where they ended up today.
Okay.
It's far more of making sure they know how to use the camera properly and get good exposures, get good pictures before they do anything. They're talking about using one of the staircases is one of the big things, to be dropping stuff down the stairs and taking photographs of it. So.
All right. Well, then I'll let the conversation draw to a kind of a natural close, and I'll toddle off back to the group.
So Horace, after looking at the buildings and seeing the discrepancy, can he find a subway map anywhere nearby?
Yeah, it's not hard.
Is there a line that runs directly underneath Bleecker Street?
Ba-dum. There's one that runs like partway down, which is really to get people to NYU, and back, but like it's not running the whole length, so there's nothing. It's not gonna line that up.
All right.
So we leave that kind of unsettlingness of just a lot of things up in the air. We're gonna take a quick break before we come back after an intermission. So, the investigators spend a good half an hour at least walking up and down Bleecker. Tommy, after a bit, just kind of gives up and is standing at the corner, just chain smoking, staring into the middle distance. Raymond has gone off to discuss cameras with some students, leaving everyone else to do the investigation without him. Olive finds a number of places that she recognizes. Like, there are whole chunks of this that make sense and comport with Olive and Tommy's memories of this area. And, Raymond, Horace, and Herbert would know the area less, from my understanding, but still, like, it looks right. There's landmarks and stuff you recognize and remember. NYU is still here, so there's parts.
To go to one of the brownstones that's potentially facing where the Black Rabbit is supposed to be.
Oh, that's the issue.
Just go and knock on the door.
Oh, that's the issue.
So there's none
not the
facing.
other side of the street. Like, you would be missing blocks of space on both sides of the street. It's not just one side's missing. There is a huge number jump that implies that, like, there's just like a strip of the city or something missing. There's no across the street from the Black Rabbit because there's nothing that lines up. There's no 106. There's no 108. There's no 100. The even side is jumping from 80 to 142.
How busy is this street?
Well, I mean, it's Saturday. So you've been around the city quite a bit, so it's by early afternoon between going up and around Central Park and stuff. It's early to mid-afternoon. So Bleecker's in Greenwich Village, so it's starting to get busy for the day. There are a number of students and young people especially who are starting to pretty loudly be heading into different cafes, or they'll knock on what looks like just an apartment door, but then like 8 of them will go in. So it's
Cafes. Yeah.
it's quickly getting busier, and between the university and the really high proportion of cafes and art galleries and artist lofts in the area, like it's got a very definite vibe that is coming into its own by mid-afternoon.
Because I basically was wondering if there'd be like a quiet spot, whether in the like grassy area or something like that, where I'm not sure what to do about the fact that my memory is a lie. So I'd like to look at my knife, please. Now it's covered. If I could sit like on the grass, just somewhere where I'm not really being watched, I'd like to like take a look at my knife. You said it's like got blood on it, but
oh yeah, it's dried. Like it's not like wet, but like
yeah. So are there any kind of like, I don't know, different marks on it, or is there anything weird about the blood that would give me any kind of indication of a memory?
Yeah. Give me a fighting brawl check. Awesome. So that here is representing like you like looking over it and kind of so it has been thoroughly used. The blood's dried. It's been a few days. It looks like they investigated. They kept it in evidence and put it in the straw box. Some of the straw has blood on it as well from being put in there. The blade looks like it's been very heavily used. There's not like chips running out of it, 'cause it's a quality weapon. But not there's they're almost like really fine like dents and stuff. If you ever used a knife and then like accidentally tried to cut a bone and it gets like that little nicks where the very small barbs, when you look at like a microscope, it's all barbs, get all wonkied. It looks like this was used pretty heavily and pretty aggressively. It definitely needs some TLC. It could use a fresh honing and possibly even a fresh sharpening.
I always considered like I'd keep my knife in a very good condition. So this is like new from the last couple of nights.
That is, yes. This is what I am trying to. I'm agreeing with you on that one. Yeah, it is. And again, it's not like broken. It's just like this would be what you would expect to see after
it was
like,
used for a massacre. Yeah,
a day of trench fighting, like at close combat. Like this is what a knife or a bayonet would be after that. Of like, it's fine, but like you can tell it's been used.
I guess this is being cheeky, but just sort of thinking about this, does this jog anything to me? Do I remember stabbing something?
Roll me a luck.
That's a hard success.
Hard success. So you take it in your hand and you're trying to do like the thing of is Tommy right-handed or left-handed?
Right-handed.
Right-handed. So you put it in your right hand and you kind of do the thing with your you tighten your grip and you loosen your grip. You tighten your grip and you're just kind of like and yeah, like your hand has some of that residual stiffness in it. If you've ever done like butcher's work for a full afternoon or something, where your hand is almost a claw by the end, because you're just holding it like this for hours while it's being pressured. It's like your hand has that dull ache in it. And then you kind of notice that like the part of the grip feels off, like it feels like it's something odd about it. So you you take it off. You take off the end. So it feels like the grip's been put back on, not quite right. It's got a leather grip, is what I was thinking, envisioning. So you take it off, and underneath the grip, you actually find like a piece of paper that's been wrapped underneath it.
Yeah, I'll kind of try and unfurl that out.
It's got like it's got a little bit of like. It's got a little bit of like a gamey smell to it because it's been in leather and blood for a while. But yeah, it looks like you would have stashed that there.
The large implications therein. Study of these sorts undoubtedly finds its backgrounds tied to the texts of past, particularly those from Arabic and Persian backgrounds, admittedly a diversion to the question at hand. Instead, imagine that next to our own. I mean, this doesn't mean anything to me, but does it mean anything to Tommy?
No. I mean, Tommy can get the basic deductions with no rolls of it looks like it's part of a fancy textbook or a fancy treatise of some kind. It has stuff like Fig 12, so it's figure 12, so there's part of a diagram that's been ripped off there. It's a mathematics book, and that's all you're getting without any rolls of any kind.
This wouldn't be, I don't think, Tommy's thing per se. So he would kind of, I think, tuck the bloody knife back into its box.
Yeah.
Making sure to put the grip back on, and kind of hurry over to Horace, I think.
Sure.
Hey, Horace.
Yes.
I found something from, I think it's from the other night. I hid it in my knife, and I hand him the kind of scrap of paper. Sorry about the just gestures at all the blood.
No, that's quite all right. Regular question. Does it? Is there anything particular about it that I recognize?
No, that's a roll of some kind.
All right. Could that be, I don't know, library use?
Does someone have mathematics?
I was going to say, if you got mathematics, that'd get you some information.
What do I have?
Otherwise, a
Not
library.
my field of study. I apologize.
Nor mine.
Or you could throw. I mean, if there's other skills you think you can throw at it,
Can I cast
Just
a history
on my-
net?
No.
history could possibly get you.
Now, quickly,
Art history.
did Tommy show the note from his pocket way back session 1? Did he show that to everybody?
Thinking about that.
Oh god, I feel bad. What note?
Yeah.
Because I know,
Oh,
Yeah.
but when
Yeah.
Horace
I know.
he did show
I
it
think he
around,
showed it
yeah.
to at least.
Did show it around.
Okay.
What?
Couple of us.
With the Von C.
With the circle
No.
Redacted.
and the diamond.
It's in handouts. The Tommy's pocket note.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
The shapes here are reminiscent of what you had shown us previously. It
Hold
could
on,
be-
yeah.
It could be nothing. They're separated and on opposite sides in this instance, but they may not be disconnected.
Get that. I'm gonna get that note out as well.
Mm-hmm.
You're right, they are.
On
This
seeing
is to
the
say.
on seeing the pocket note and this new note together, does anything does it ring any bells historically, like this symbol or symbols being used in any sort of
Give me a
historical
roll.
context? Love to.
Oh, a hard success. All right, so Raymond Fox is well educated. It definitely appears to be part of a textbook on mathematics. Based upon the shapes, it would be something more theoretical, especially with it citing Arabic and Persian texts, where for centuries that part of the world was ahead of everyone else when it came to especially theoretical mathematics. So it is part of a larger treatise on that. With given these shapes, it is quite possibly something as mundane as geometry, but you're suspecting not from a lot of these. With that, Raymond would definitely know there are places he could go to get to show this page and get more information on the book. You could either go to Book Row, which is I think it's 5th Avenue, and it's about 35 bookstores in a row. Or you go to the university and one of the universities and speak to a research librarian to get more information on that. From just this and kind of look at the thing, you guess it's an older book as well.
The page.
Victorian era at the latest. Quite possibly earlier, if then it would have been a newer translation or something. Because if you're getting too much earlier, you get into like more old-timey English or another language.
I'll share all of that with everyone. And,
We could certainly check at Columbia. I'm sure the university has the proper books to compare. But
yes.
Is this really the most urgent thing for us to be focusing our efforts upon?
Oh, wait. That...
Perhaps not, but at the same time, Thomas must have figured something out.
It was urgent enough for me to tuck it into my knife whilst I was apparently slaying a herd of cows.
Precisely.
Are you certain it's not from some other tome that you would have been researching prior to coming to 10 South Bleecker Street?
Mathematics wasn't really my area. I don't think I drew this, but I made sure to have it on me, holding up the symbol. I don't think I drew this, but I had it on me. Apparently, I stuffed this away. This seems to mention that this is some kind of symbol for, like, I don't know if it's a symbol for maths or if it's a symbol for texts of the past. I don't think there's enough context from this, but
You know what I pulled
that
out of...
must be important to us somehow. That must be important to what I was doing that night.
You're certain that you believe that this and that... You see, you don't even have the symbols in the correct order here.
Say that this isn't the correct way, and I'll kind of like turn the paper. Like, why are we assuming this way is the right way? There's no up or down on this piece of paper.
Fair.
Oh,
Fair. You've a sharp and a bright mind, Miss Olive.
it's nice to hear. Thanks.
Yes, well-deserved compliment.
You know what I just pulled out of my pocket was that telegram that was amongst my belongings. It, too, is torn off.
Telegram?
Yes, here. And he'll hand it around. Not sure if works stop, huge discoveries stop, and then it's torn off. it's a full rate telegram, so they should have a full copy of it. Perhaps. Well, if we're correlating things, the 2 or 3 torn pieces of paper, all under similar circumstances, perhaps.
I suppose it's possible. Well, the telegram should be much easier for us to track down any missing information on it. Can't you just call them and have them read off the missing bits?
Oh, you know what? That'll save us all the trouble of going there, yes.
I mean, I think that they would do that, wouldn't they? We have all of the information here that we would need, don't we?
Well, either way, I'm going to try it. But I can do that at a stop along the way to your. It was your neighbor's niece's.
Well, yes, my neighbor's niece. Yes. I mean, it's all the way back near the university, though. It's quite a bit of distance.
Can you call, maybe?
Perhaps it would be pertinent to visit if we were to visit Columbia to ask about this paper.
Yeah, maybe it's
Yes.
good before we contact this mysterious ad that we have all the information and tools we need, because if it is a trap, we need to have one up on them. You know what I'm saying?
I
Yes.
see your suggestion, yes.
There's good logic in that, Miss Olive. We have our own information here. We should see what it pertains to as much as possible before reaching out to anyone else.
I do fear if this is someone who, let us assume, this is someone genuine, who went through much the same things as we did, we shouldn't wait too long before we contact them, lest they follow the same fate as poor Magellan.
Ah, that poor boy.
So what if we contact them and say we'll meet them tomorrow? Gives us enough time today to get as much information as we can.
We need not even commit to a meeting. Simply see what it is they're willing to say over the phone.
I suppose a phone call is relatively safe.
Okay, so we'll start with a phone call.
Would you? Well, I mean, I'm looking here and I don't see anywhere nearby that would even have a phone. Do we need to move closer into the city?
We may have to go back to the subway station to find a payphone.
Can I ask, if we do so, if I could sort of be making some effort to make sure we're not being followed at all? I'm being very paranoid about that, but I am very paranoid about that. And I'd like to just sort of keep an eye on, I guess, making sure I'm not seeing familiar faces or anything.
Yeah, you can for sure do that. Roll me a spot hidden.
2 in a row. We can dream. I will spend that point of... It's point of luck, isn't it?
Yep.
I will spend that point of luck for the success, please.
Good use of luck.
There's no people following you. As you head back, as you start to head down the stairs into the subway station, you do see a particularly large black crow that is sitting there, has watched you walk up the street and head down the staircase, and it does that weird throaty that crows do, and then it just kind of watches you until you head out of sight into the subway station.
Well, I didn't like that, but I'm not going to stress people out with that. Everyone, they already know that.
So you're now calling the number for the ad, I believe you said, right?
I want to
Yep.
start with the telegram office first.
You want to start the telegram? Sounds good. Yeah.
While he's doing that, it's actually perfect. Horace would like to pull Professor Devinold off to the side for just a moment. But you can go ahead and do that first.
Sure. Hello, Western Union.
Yes, hello. I'm calling because I'm hoping to. I received a telegram, and before I could read it, it got damaged. I'm wondering if I give you some of the information, you could read off the transcript to me.
Well, I can see what I can do. What's the? Read me the reference number, please.
Let me see. And where on here is the reference number? Is that?
That would be towards the end. It
Well,
would be,
therein lies a bit of the problem, you see. I have perhaps the first third, like the top left third of the telegram.
So the OGE 9G is your reference number.
Excellent. Then oh, never mind. Here it is. OGE 9G.
Okay, and so that's out of Brooklyn.
Yes.
Well, I'm sorry. You said that was OGE 9G.
Yes, OGE 9G.
Oscar Golf Echo Niner Golf.
Yes, you've got that right. Yes. What's
just a moment, please.
Certainly.
He's saying.
They can't find it.
Well, this is a very interesting circumstance. That code hasn't been assigned yet, but
the one after
we also
it has.
have this is more a bit unusual. We're gonna need you to come in. If you the nearest Western Union would work. We're just need to see some ID. It's very strange, and we just want to make sure that Western Union is not taking any liability from this. Any Western Union, but there isn't that code hasn't been assigned yet. But we have a few telegrams for a Raymond Fox here. I've never seen anything like this. It might be. I'm guessing there's something wrong with the system because this says these all got sent on the 23rd, like almost 2 weeks from today. But there's a bunch of them.
I can see how that would be a problem. Yes. All right. Yes. I can show ID and perhaps in person get to the bottom of this.
Yeah. Well, we just need you to sign something to make sure that this is yours. If that you're Raymond Fox, these are for. If there's anything going on, we're just the middle. We're just the middle men.
Certainly, it could have been just a scheduling error or a misprint or something of the like.
I mean, I've never seen it like that. It's kind of interesting. There's a little file here for him, and it's dated the 20th. It's very weird.
Well, thank you for your help. I'll be stopping by. I suppose any Western Union soon to see what's going on.
Yeah, of course. I really appreciate that.
Goodbye. Hang up the phone. He'll turn and look at them and go. They say that the telegrams there's multiple for one, and this one in particular was sent 2 weeks from now. Yes.
I'm sorry.
Yes, exactly. That's the nature of the confusion on the phone, actually. They want me to come by and prove that I am the intended recipient. So, well, at some point today, we should probably stop by a Western Union to see what this is all about.
Be a trap.
Could be a trap, but the Black Rabbit wasn't a trap the second time we went. The first time I make no comment, but just now, it seems innocuous.
We're not at the correct address. I keep saying this.
So you received a telegram from the future?
That's what they seem to think it was, yes.
Horace, you were pulling Professor Devinold aside as well, you said.
Correct. So just while that phone call is going on.
What is it, Mr. Young?
Professor, I can't help but notice that these events seem to be distressing to you. More so, perhaps, than to the others of us.
How could they not be, young man?
Indeed, of course. These are troubling circumstances.
Quite right.
Particularly your insistence that we must be at the wrong address.
Oh.
I would caution you, or perhaps not caution, I would advise, if you will have it, to assume that things may not be as rational as that. And to keep our thinking away from simple errors like that. I assume you're familiar with Occam's razor.
Yes, the simplest solution typically
yes.
is correct, yes.
And
It's a mathematical thing, is it not?
For the most part, I believe, but it has been applied to nearly every aspect of life. In this instance, I believe it best to disregard it.
And why do you say that, Mr. Young?
Well, what would be the simple explanation for a flock of birds simply staring at us? What is the simple explanation for a body being in two places at once and simultaneously nowhere? It is the simple explanation for, say, around 20 values worth of addresses missing? The implicit answer being that there is none, yes? It may harm us or hinder our success if we insist on simple explanations. And it, furthermore, may prove more distressing to you and to the rest of us to attempt to pattern our schema of the world onto the things that we are experiencing. I worry for you, Professor.
You make a good point, Mr. Young, but let me ask you a question, because I believe that you are at once correct, and yet perhaps deeply incorrect.
Go right ahead.
What do you believe about spiritual things?
I believe that there is far more to the world than what we see. Far more that exists perhaps within the mind, perhaps within the minds of all. I would not deign to guess at what I would call it, but the physical is not all that is.
A fair and measured and academic response. In this case, although I believe that you and I may have a different opinion on what that other world is composed of, perhaps the Occam's razor answer here is that we are being affected by beings much more powerful than we ourselves are. That there is some outer influence impacting us. And that may be a better answer than simply assuming we have the address wrong. Though a much more worrisome answer, indeed.
Indeed. It is certainly a theory. Well, we are academics, aren't we? I will pursue my theory. You pursue yours, and we will compare notes.
Yes, and where they meet, perhaps we will find truth.
Perhaps. And, Doctor, I want to...
Professor, I never did get a PhD.
Yes.
Mr. Fox has gone quite above my education in his young life. But
Yes,
as you were.
Again, I note your distress. You're quite acute distress. Should you believe it to be too much for you to handle, know that I keep a practice that specializes in distress, particularly as it pertains to the perception of reality.
You do?
Should you feel the need to speak to someone about your experiences more privately, my door is open.
I appreciate that very much. And if you should find yourself questioning the reality of beings that transcend human understanding and looking for answers, and you'd like to speak to someone who's given the majority of their life into studying such things, my door's always open to you as well, son.
I will keep that in mind.
Very good.
It may be important knowledge in the coming days.
Yes, well.
It looks as though Dr. Fox has gotten off the phone. Let's see what he has to say.
Yes, about that telegram.
Yes, I believe so.
Did you find anything out, Raymond?
Only more questions, really. We have to go there. I have to show ID to get this cache of telegrams apparently sent in 2 weeks from now. Yeah. We're all confused.
I see. Well...
Do you know if there's a Western Union near your neighbor's niece's place? Oh, I'm distracting myself. I was going to call that number.
Yeah, let's call the number.
All right. Then I'll pick up the receiver again, and I'll ask to be connected to MHN105.
I would also like to put my ear up to the phone.
Yeah, I'll kind of hold it so we can all listen.
Yeah, we all Scooby-Doo around it.
All of the eavesdropper.
If only they could invent something that made the speech from a phone more loud.
Yes, like it were someone
Sounds like
in the
magic.
room
The very
speaking
fact
with
that we
you.
can speak to someone on the other side of the city just with this little device held to our ear is just astonishing. If you let us be real here.
Good afternoon, Von Cartwright residents.
Yes, hello. I'm calling, because I... one moment, please. My apologies. And I'll cover the receiver. Tommy, what is it?
Oh no, I was just freaking Von C. But
Oh my God, yes. Contact Von C. Yes, I'm calling because, well, I saw something of a strange advertisement in the newspaper, and I'm wondering, if, I'm talking to the right person about it.
I am the butler, sir. I do know what this is about. I will have the master of the house on shortly.
Oh, thank you.
If you wouldn't mind waiting a moment.
Certainly.
Tell him to hurry up.
I'm not telling the butler to hurry
Tell
up.
him to hurry up. It's an emergency.
Raymond will say into the now abandoned phone on the other line, and please hurry.
Yeah. Good job.
Olive, you're right. We really should just get the rich people to talk to us. Talk for us.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll find ourselves in I'm listening, but like covering the receiver. I'm sure we'll find ourselves in a situation where there's somebody who I'm not well equipped to speak to, and I'll let you two do the talking.
Hello, this is Ernst von Cartwright. How may I help you?
Uh, Ernst von Cartwright. My name is Dr. Raymond Fox, and I saw an advertisement in the newspaper that, well, it's why I'm calling. Um, would it be meaningful to you at all if I were to say that I know somebody who has seen the Black Rabbit?
I would be quite interested to talk to whoever that was. I have reason to be concerned about discussing some things over the telephone, and would be more than happy to invite any such person or persons over to my home for dinner.
Uh,
Where we
just
may talk more safely.
Raymond will kind of look at the others and go like,
It's a trap! Asked to meet in a public place!
I, in the same way that you are quite understandably nervous about discussing such a thing over a potentially public telephone, the informed parties are also somewhat nervous going to your residence without some kind of formal public introduction. Would you be opposed to meeting us someplace reasonably well observed? Say, I'm not sure. We could have cocktails someplace, and then perhaps head back to your home to speak of more serious matters.
If I may, perhaps we can cut the difference then. We can have a private room set up in the dining of a hotel or other public place, so whoever may be meeting me there can make any arrangements for what to happen if anything untowards could happen. They could have friends waiting outside with baseball bats, whatever they may require. I do assure you, and hope you can pass this word along, but I'm not one who's prone to wasting time, and I sincerely hope that if whoever this person may be has actually seen the Black Rabbit, that we could be of great use to each other.
That is, I think, an excellent compromise between our two desires. And Raymond will suggest renting or reserving a conference room in the hotel that he himself is already staying at, just in like a lower floor section.
But yeah, it'd be a private dining room.
Yeah.
Excellent. I will have my bachelor handle that, and everything. I will take care of any expenses.
Oh, thank you. We all appreciate it. And Raymond will check his watch. What time is it about?
It's about 3. Yeah.
3 o'clock. Raymond will say, is 8 o'clock a reasonable hour for us to meet and dine?
That would be wonderful.
Well, excellent. We will see you there. And Raymond will...
Wait. Is he paying?
Oh,
Is this
yes.
free?
Yes. It
Okay.
hangs up. Yes. Ernst von Cartwright is going to foot the bill. Which, excellent.
Well, if he's
Do
going
any
to
of
murder
you-
us, at least we're getting murdered in a nice place.
Yes. The food there is quite good.
Do any of you know that name?
Ernst von Cartwright? I mean, I know some Cartwrights. I don't know if they're related to this one.
You may roll me a credit rating if you'd like. Raymond.
Love to roll a credit rating.
You know, Ernst von Cartwright is very old money, very well established, fabulously wealthy, has a mansion on the Upper East Side, probably has another one on Long Island, and other holdings besides. You have not managed to crack that particular social circle or anything close to it. But this is Astor's and Rockefeller level old money.
Old money. All of old money.
But this must be the Von C who had something to do with Magellan.
It would be a
was in that
remarkable
redacted
coincidence,
file.
if not.
Ah, yes. A very strong connection, Mr. Cole.
But this was redacted. This was blocked out of medical files. Whoever Von C was, we weren't supposed to know he was connected to Magellan.
And no one was, it seems.
We also weren't meant to have those files.
No, but no one was supposed to know that Von C was connected, which makes me a little nervous about meeting him about this incident.
Well, he
I'm
did
not saying we
say
shouldn't do it. I'm saying I'm nervous.
we could bring our own baseball bats, and I got a couple bats, so I'll bring one for me, one for Tommy. What about you, doctors, professors? Not doctor, professor. You guys need bats?
I wouldn't know what to do with it.
I find my trusty military issue pistol handles things quite well enough if violence becomes necessary, Miss Oliver.
Sure.
I much prefer to watch the game.
Okay.
More for me
Two.
and you, I guess.
Yeah,
Two
two
bats
bats for
apiece.
us. Hey.
Well, we have about 5 hours before we need to actually be at dinner. I'd like to get to the hotel a little bit early. I have rooms there and freshen up a little bit for dinner, but we do have the rest of the afternoon to spend.
Should we split up to make things go faster? I'd be very interested in meeting Herbert's niece. Do you want me to go with you?
You're welcome to join me.
Okay.
She's not my niece. A
Oh,
neighbor's
sorry,
niece.
neighbor's niece of a cousin. I got it.
No, it's nothing so complicated as that.
Yeah.
Yes, and I should best check on my client. If I can find him.
Mr. Fox, are you planning to go to the hotel room early? Would it be worth going there and staking things out?
Yes, perhaps that much early. I think what I'd like to do is stop by a Western Union, and then I'll meet you all at the hotel. Anybody's welcome to come with me if you so desire.
I'll come with you for that.
The Western Union is easy enough. You just show some ID, and there's some fussing. They have you sign a couple of pieces of paper, basically being like, if you rely on this information for investments or legal proceedings, we're not liable, because you can tell this is very like, what
They've
is
never
happening?
received a telegram from the future before. They don't know how to cover themselves.
Well, they haven't received 4 telegrams before from the future with matching sending codes and all the matching sending details.
Oh no. Oh no. It had to be you, stop.
Would you like to read them out for the audience? Because we
Yes.
have 4 of them to go through.
Yes, I will go in order 1 through 4.
Sure.
Oh.
Telegram 1. Not sure if work stop. Huge discovery stop. First attempt to determine if affect behind attitudinal viewpoints stop. Interesting findings. If read this note, may have further findings stop. Await future message stop. Tabitha stop. Stop. And the next telegram, not sure if work, stop, huge discovery, stop, if you can read this viewpoint, behind attitudinal viewpoint, stop, interesting study of effects, promise, stop, may have further findings, stop, find book beside the world, stop, stop. Not sure if work, stop, huge discovery, stop, consider if your viewpoint affect by behind attitudinal viewpoints, stop, interesting effects upon telegram, yet, stop, may have further findings, stop, it had to be you, stop, stop. Telegram 4. Not sure if work, stop. Huge discovery, stop. It had to be you, stop. You are behind attitudinal viewpoints, stop. It had to be you, stop. It had to be you, stop. May have further findings, stop. It had to be you, stop, stop. And Tommy and Ray will be kind of standing in the telegram office, kind of passing the telegrams back and forth between each other. Kind of, Ray will look up at Tommy and go, the lyrics. The lyrics. It's the lyrics from the call that Horace took. That hadn't yet, that never came through the switchboard. But maybe it hadn't just come through yet.
Were these sent from yourself?
I'll kind of step back up to the telegram office and, do you have a record of who sent these? Or, I'm sorry, I guess I should say will send these?
Well, they're out of the one of the Brooklyn locations. They don't have a specific sending person on them. I mean, this one, maybe from Tabitha from this one.
Perhaps, yes.
But yeah, it looks like they're from those codes. They'd all come from the Brooklyn Heights location through that routing office.
Do you know anyone in Brooklyn Heights?
I don't think so. Do I happen to have an acquaintance or anybody who would send me insane telegrams as perhaps a lark?
Oh, a funny prank.
Tabitha has had art exhibits out in the Heights.
Oh, it's that Tabitha. Oh my god.
Is becoming a bit of another kind of artistic area.
I didn't.
Ray, you look troubled. Who's Tabitha?
I have a little bit of history with a Tabitha, and I want to think that this is just her messing with me. I don't know how she managed to send send a telegram with a routing code that's in the future, but well, we'll check the Brooklyn Heights routing office to see if the person who sent these matches her description.
That sounds like a plan.
That's a bit far off, though, right? From where we are? Like, that's not
Yes.
a today thing? Yeah. Okay. I think that may have to wait for perhaps another day, or maybe I'll call her, see if she just bursts out laughing as soon as I say hello.
Well, keep hold of the telegrams. They'll be good for the chalkboard.
Certainly that.
Chalkboard.
Certainly that. We'll connect some yarn between them and a picture of me with my face scribbled out next to her. To the hotel?
Yes, but I'd love to make one stop along the way, and this doesn't really need to be played out, but I'd like to go and buy a bread product, please. A New York-based bread product.
Like a bagel?
I don't know if bagels have been invented yet, but like a pretzel, a bagel, some kind of bread product, it's not really for me.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, every single culture and society across Earth
We
at
do
some
love bread.
point invents bread and then invents bread fried in fat of some kind.
Exactly.
There are countless options.
Mm.
I think
But yeah, I just wanted to buy
Yeah,
like a
they're
pretzel or something.
Yeah.
And it is in case I notice another bird, I've got experiments of my own.
Good call. Good call. Who are we handling next?
I'd be all right with Horace going next if he would like to.
Horace, you're muted.
By the way, bagels were invented in the 1600s.
Yeah, I was like, I think they're like,
Yeah, they've been around. Yeah, so first he'd want to call Mr. Scott's boarding house again.
Mhm.
Is Mr. Scott in? This is his psychologist speak.
he is, yes.
Ah, lovely. Would you mind telling him that I'll be around shortly? See
Yes, of course.
And he will head down to that boarding house.
Okay. Yeah, it's a nice enough boarding house. Mr. Scott is downstairs waiting for you. Apparently, he's gotten the landlady to put out a small tea service. Not the whole thing with sandwiches and stuff, just some tea. Pot tea. He goes, "Oh, Mr. Young, a pleasure to see you."
Pleasure to see you as well, Douglas. How does he look?
Quite good. Well rested, hale and hearty. Possibly has put on like a little bit of weight since you've last seen him. It's looking quite good.
Looks like that job is doing us wonders already.
It gets me out of the house.
Oh, fantastic, fantastic. I apologize for imposing on you, such. I simply had a few questions. The man you told me about, that you said you had seen recently,
Yes.
I have reason to think he called me after our phone conversation.
Oh.
Would you mind describing this man?
What, like what he looks like?
Yes. What he looks like, any distinguishing features about him. Does he look like troubled by that?
Yeah, he's kind of like
Okay.
he just kind of seems. Yeah, I was not just blanking. I was trying to.
No.
use-
I was making sure. I'm just... Douglas? Is there anything you can remember?
Oh, I should pour you some tea, and he pours another cup of tea.
Thank you. Is there anything you can remember about?
About who?
About the man that you said wanted to speak with me?
Oh yeah, he's been a great deal of help. He's done a lot of very good things for me. It's been very helpful.
Yes. I'm very glad of that. Just how is it that I may know him when I see him?
He said you'll know.
Very well. You can't remember anything about him? What he looked like, anything he carried, what he was wearing? What color was his hair?
I just poured another cup of tea, and the teacup's pretty full. He just keeps pouring liquid in. And then he puts it down. He goes, thank you for coming today. Is this just a checkup? Things have been going really well.
If I look at him when that happened, when he kind of spaces out, can I look to see whether he is not wanting to say something, or if something is going on?
Ooh, roll me a psychoanalysis.
Yes. Finally. Extreme success.
Ooh.
It is not a symptom you've seen from him before. It is more akin to what you'd expect from it not shell shock from the last war, but sometimes you read papers on soldiers from previous wars, whether it be the Boer War or the ones that fought in Crimea, of a variety of different maladies, often around difficulties of getting back into society and stuff, and how at times they there's been a number of colorful metaphors for it. The gist of it, it seems like basically the person just kind of leaves their body behind for moments and spells. And you are positive that's what's happening. He's not trying to be evasive.
Mm-hmm.
It's
he's clearly
like,
dissociating.
yes. Yeah. To use our modern parlance, yeah, he goes into a pretty heavy dissociated state. And then just kind of like is snapping back in, and he's not like, it's not a smooth transition.
Right.
But this is not a symptom he has exhibited before. This is far outside of his normal collection of symptoms.
Horace quickly gets out his notebook and kind of gets in his, straightens his posture, crosses his leg for a moment, and then kind of forces himself to loosen his posture. No, this is merely I missed our session this previous week, and I apologize for that. And I merely wanted to check in on you in that absence. Although it seems you are doing quite well. And I very much look forward to seeing you next week.
Did you still want me to make art for you?
I'm sorry?
You still art. You said that sometimes drawings and stuff or writing can help.
Oh, yes, of course. Very much so.
Okay. Well, I made this for you.
Yes. Well, I'm sure we will have plenty of time to unpack that when we meet, and I look forward to it.
Okay.
Have a good evening, Mr. Scott.
You too.
Horace will get up and walk out a little bit shakily.
Cool.
Then I guess head to the hotel to meet everybody else.
Olive, did you go with Herbert?
Yes, I did.
Yes.
Okay. So you were going to see Mary Williams.
Yes. I'm not sure that she. I don't believe she lives with her aunt, but perhaps she can point us in the right direction. So we would check in with Edna first, my neighbor, and see if she can let us know that Mary's well, and if we might be able to speak with her, where we could find her.
Yeah. You knock on the door, and Dolores Tillinghast, your granddaughter, answers, and she goes, "Grandpa?
Dolores, darling, what are you doing here?
You're alive? What happened?"
Well, yes, of course I'm alive. Why would you think otherwise?
You wait. Well, come inside. You need to. What?
Uh, this is Miss Olive. I'm sorry, I don't
Hey
actually
there.
know your last name, Olive.
You don't need to know that.
This is Miss Olive. We've become associates recently. She's here
Hiya.
to... Come. Is Edna home?
No, it's.
Why are
No.
you here? I didn't even realize you knew Mrs. Williams.
You were. Come inside. Come inside.
I thought you were living down near Fifth, trying to get into the theater and all that. I haven't heard from you in weeks.
I don't live here. You. We.
Take your time, dear. Take your time.
Grandpa, you. Mary and you went to. You said you were going to some place called the Black Rabbit, and then
Yes.
you never came home, and Mary never came home.
Mary never came home.
No, and then we didn't know where you were. We didn't know what was happening,
Oh,
and
dear
then
Lord.
you're here now, and there's no such place as the Black Rabbit. And Miss Williams was asking around, and eventually we got in touch because we were both looking for what had happened, and she gives you a great big hug.
Oh, Dolores, darling.
She's like,
Papa's fine. Papa's fine, dear. It's all right.
and
It's so good to see you, dear. It's so good to see you.
It's phenomenal to see you. I'm so sorry. It's the last thing I expected to see. Have you seen Mary? I know Miss Williams is out. She's out asking the ward officer for help, looking for Mary.
I see.
And I'm here in case she came home, and being up in the neighborhood.
I see.
There's. Do you know what happened that night? Do you know anyone else? Like, there are a lot of people missing.
How many people are missing that you're aware of, my dear?
I mean, we've asked around, and there's at least 24 people.
24.
Well, I mean, well, you're back, so that's at least one less, and I don't know if you were with anyone, or if Ms. Olive there was there as well. I don't know.
Yes, you can count Miss Olive, and actually, I woke in, the hospital that's on that island under the bridge.
The Metropolitan.
Yes, that one. We all woke there yesterday afternoon. We weren't released until evening, and I came home and did my best to sleep last night, and I'm so sorry, dear. If I'd known you were looking for me, I would have reached out to you immediately. I assumed you were busy with your life and hadn't. As I said, it's been weeks since I've heard from you.
And the police didn't even think to call. This is ludicrous. I'll be writing a letter to my representative. It's unacceptable. The police are like that. It didn't.
That's my girl.
They should have let us know.
I agree wholeheartedly. There are many strange and disturbing things happening with the police in this city, I'm finding.
Yeah, they're always like that, to be honest.
My dear, something is amiss, and I do hope that we can find poor Mary, but I don't want you getting involved in this Something isn't quite right, and it's... I couldn't countenance you putting yourself in any kind of danger whatsoever.
Involved in what? What's happening? What?
Let the police look for Mary,
Yes, Grandpa.
That's a good girl. You said that poor Edna's gone to speak to them, yes?
She's speaking to the ward officer.
Yes, of course.
I know you don't. I know you don't like Tammany Hall or the way they do things, and I don't either. But sometimes you have to use the tools you have, and we didn't know what to do.
Well, the place is full of corruption, but if it is the only resource that is available, I understand using it.
And you're well. You were in the hospital. Is everything fine?
I'm fine, dear. A bit bumped and banged, but well.
Okay.
You're welcome to stay in my apartment if you would like to stay close. I'm always happy to have you nearby.
I think Mrs. Williams needs help right now. Thank you very much. I think I'll be here for a little bit, and I'll let you know if I go back back south of 47th.
Back to Broadway, eh?
Yeah.
Well, what about you, darling? Any word there on that front? Have you made any inroads? Should I expect to see your name up in lights soon?
Maybe. I had I totally forgot about it. I had a tryout earlier this week, and I think it went well.
Wonderful.
For some adaptation of some French play.
Oh, not one of those French plays.
No. I mean, you'd have to get past the Society of 14, or it would get driven off the stage entirely.
All right.
No.
Keep your nose clean, dear.
Of course, Grandpa.
All right. Well, why don't we agree that until all of this shakes out, we find out where Mary is, I will call you at night, each night, to let you know I'm well. You do the same. You call and you let me know you're well.
Yes, Grandpa.
And if you need a place to sleep, you have a key. My apartment is upstairs. The guest room is yours as usual.
Of course. Thank you.
Would you let Mrs. Williams know that I stopped by to check in?
Of
And
course.
that if there's any information about poor little Mary, please let me know.
Of course.
Or, for that matter, any of the other missing.
Yes.
Thank you, dear. I need to see about getting Miss Olive back to her home again.
Of course. And she gives you a great big hug again.
And I give her a very frail big hug back.
And she turns to Olive and whispers, you take care of him.
Yeah, I can take care of this guy. Don't worry about him too much.
Of course.
She's a very capable young lady, Miss Olive. All right. Eat something.
Of course. Miss Williams, make sure.
We'll be off then.
Be safe.
You as well. Don't get
Pick
into
up
any
some
trouble.
bats.
Bats. Yes, of course, bats. She's teaching me how to do that baseball game.
Oh, yeah. He's a real natural, I could tell. So,
Oh, good. Good. Good.
All right. Then we will depart. Olive. 24 missing.
Well, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We know. We found 7 of them.
8, I think.
Oh, wait, look at us. We're real investigators or something. We should, better than the police around here. Look at us.
Yes. But 24 in some way connected to this place, this black rabbit.
The real.
Most of whom are nowhere to be found.
Big problem.
Indeed. We should let the others know. This is bigger than just us. There are people out there who need our help.
So are you all meeting up at the hotel here?
Yes. Before Miss Olive and I depart to get her bats, given the givens, I think that I will be collecting both my rifle and my shotgun, and a few boxes of rounds for each of those guns, and packing them up in a bag to bring with us. Disassembled, of course, but I am becoming more and more uneasy.
And when we pick up the bats, I want to grab like wrappings for my fists, like something that like boxers use.
Yeah, so you are still bandaged on your hands.
Just put it over that. I'm sure they'll be
But
fine.
you actually have one better. You have brass knuckles.
Oh, okay. Pick up my brass knuckles in my bats.
Yeah.
I have no idea what happened to this police officer.
The mystery.
Clearly, she wasn't using the brass knuckles because her knuckles were all banged up.
Exactly.
Which almost more worries me if she put him in that state without them.
Without them, right? Exactly.
I mean, lest we forget, all of this built like a shit brick house.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
This is true.
So are you meeting up in Raymond's room to like prep? Are you hanging out down in the restaurant to prep? What is the?
I think Tommy and Raymond were a little bit ahead of the others, maybe just because we were closer.
Yeah.
And we got there, and I don't know what Tommy was
Yeah.
going to do, but Raymond was gonna go back up to his room, let Tommy know his room number, and then call Tabitha.
There's no answer.
Ooh.
Can I leave a message with the switchboard operator to like try and connect later and put a message through?
Yeah.
The message will be, ha ha ha, very funny, Tabby. I got your telegrams. Call me.
Tommy, what were you doing in the hotel?
I would like to get rid of the hotel, so I was kind of hoping to discreetly skulk about, get an idea of places. If we were to be meeting someone in this nice area, like, could they sneak people into a back way? Is there an exit I need to be aware of? Or is there an exit to get out of if we get in trouble? I'm casing the joint.
Yeah. I'm gonna get you to roll me. Just in a quick look, because I'm having a moment up. I know they used to have like a not quite the right. I'm gonna get you because you're a soldier type. I'm just gonna get you to roll an education on that. Just kind of to represent kind of your collective experience in soldiering and all that you've done and do.
Education.
Yeah. Up at the top.
Yeah.
EDU.
Hard success.
Oh, fantastic. Okay. So, you'll have a private dining room. There's a couple of those on the main floor. Each has one kind of main entrance for customers and an additional entrance that would be for staff. So probably the kitchen. As you're kind of casing the joint, you're like, if they're going to sneak a bunch of muscle in, it's got to go in through the kitchen then, or they're coming in through one of the main doors. The nature of it being a public place cuts both ways. If whoever this is able to sneak in an army, it's not going to matter, right? That means they are able to get everyone on side. Realistically, it would be quite difficult for them to get any large number of people in. And it would be quite impressive to do so. And even then, you'd have, if someone were to, worst case scenario, someone were to kick in that servant's door with a gun, you could all just run into the main area. And then you're in public again. And like what's the end game kind of quickly becomes the question.
Yeah,
right?
no, I see what you're saying.
It's just a gunfight then, and like that they're not getting away from that. So if they're gonna try anything, it would be probably no guns, and it would be up close, bloody and quick.
Small number.
Yeah. Because as soon as there's any noise, it's going to draw witnesses, it's going to draw problems. And again, that cuts both ways. If you want to try anything, there's a full hotel of staff and customers.
But I'm also aware, worst case scenario, I can book out the kitchen.
Yeah, precisely. Which would be a tricky maneuver because it is an active kitchen, but it's doable.
Any point in a store.
Yeah, no, 100%. There is also, the front lobby onto the street, and then there is a smaller back door off the lobby that leads onto another street, because it's basically like the hotel is one street and then reaches all the way to the next street, because New York blocks are funky like that sometimes. But neither of those are leading directly into the restaurant or the private dining rooms. That's your off the lobby kind of area.
Okay. That's really all the questions I have.
Cool. I'm like, any other questions on that? Anything else you want to know? It's a well enough place. All the stuff's heavy wood. Cool. So
I saw that work. But yeah, that's me done then, thank you.
Cool. So you all start to meet up at the hotel. And I'm going to get everyone to roll me some spot hidden. Everyone but Raymond and Tommy, because you two are already inside. Horace sees nothing. Oh.
He's probably still shaken from his meeting.
Oh.
He's not even paying attention.
Oh, Olive. Olive, I'm gonna need another sanity roll.
Why me? Every time. Okay, fine.
Olive, you're gonna lose one sanity. As you're meeting quite late for dinner and you've all had quite a big day. As you look up as you're going in. The sun is setting, and you see the outline of, like, up in the sky, you see the outline of some sort of dark shape across, the night sky, and you just kind of see this, it's something moving that you can't even fully see. It's just kind of darkness, and it starts blotting out the stars. Yeah, and that's what we're gonna call it for this week. That's been another episode of Black Rabbit Society. Again, thank you to Syrinscape for providing all the awesome music. Again, remember that Joel runs the fantastic Ravenloft campaigns as a professional dungeon master. You can find him at StartPlaying.Games/GM/leonidas-games, or click the link in the below bit. We've also got Drew and Kendra, I believe, do D&D tomorrow night. Wednesday for Doors and Deities, which is less horror, more chaotic, is my understanding. And then our awesome character art is by the Dungeon Sketcher, who you can find at www.patreon.com/thedungeonsketcher. And again, links will be in the below bits.
Artwork is lit. I'm so glad we have that.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
compliments to the chef.
For
definitely,
real.
definitely. And we'll see you all next week. Thank you all, Wandering Souls, for watching the latest chapter. And I think that's all of my housekeeping for this evening.
Nothing to do but jazz hands.